Hey everyone, thanks so much for being here with the community at eXp Realty, and we have a great session planned for today. I'm so excited because we've got Liz Boisvert, three-time Icon award-winning agent, who's in here, who's going to show us how she is absolutely dominating using kvCORE software, a software that you can buy by just joining eXp Realty. It's awesome. You actually get it just completely included in the whole meal deal here. It's so unbelievable. And what I find is talking to agent after agent after agent, even a lot of top producers don't understand the power that's right at their fingertips, how much the company's given us. So it's really exciting. But speaking of a person who I love to hang out with at events, I'm going to bring Liz Boisvert up on stage. Liz, how are you today? I got to get you unmuted.
Hey, I'm dealing with dual screens for the first time here. So it's like, I've got you guys in like several rooms. This is awesome.
Are you in the Independence office?
We're in Independence, Oregon, just out of Salem. We've got a really cute EXP cafe co-working space. So it's quite special. And if you're ever in the area.
And just so anyone who doesn't know, Independence, Oregon, right? Because we got people from all over, but that's super, super cool. And I love that.
Yeah, we've got some people here supporting me, and every agents just get a code to the door, and we have classes. I teach a kvCORE class here. So we just collaborate, and it's just a lot of fun. And owning real estate's one of my favorite things. So I jumped on it.
I love that. That's very cool. Yeah, Liz is one of those rare agents who believes in buying what she's selling. It's really exciting. She's like, hey, maybe I'll own some real estate too. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm going to get out of your way, but I know you've got a lot to cover today, and anything that you want me to do, jump in on, and I'll just interrupt you from time to time because I can't help myself. So
yeah, please do. Please do bring some Jeff energy. I am so excited to bring kvCORE to you as always. I use kvCORE all of the time. I've been using it since 2017, and I really don't know how I would have kept my business straight without it, honestly. When you grow, you really need to have a database, right? You need to have a place where the leads go. And I've gotten to the point now where kvCORE is the first thing I do. If I'm going to make a call to an agent or a client or a lender or look at my transactions, I'm going to my kvCORE. It's my database. It's my hub. And everyone that is a successful agent should have one because it's how you stay organized. And so I'm using a dummy account today. Still, it's not, you shouldn't take screenshots or share any of the information that you see here. But this isn't my kvCORE. This is one that we can use for training. And so I just thought I would let you know, a little disclaimer. It's pretty simple how it's laid out, and it's changed a lot. One of the great things with eXp is that they partner with other businesses that are also continually changing and adopting AI and becoming better and better all the time. And so if you haven't been in kvCORE in a long time, it can look a little bit different. Can I just see, how many people do we have in the room, Jeff?
Live right now, we have 30.
Yeah, 30. Awesome. And I can't see everybody's hands, but maybe you can kind of give me a feeling. But if I asked everybody to raise their hand that uses kvCORE on the daily, would you just raise your hand? Scott does. G team does, or at least someone of the G team does. Awesome. It's very, very important. And one of the things I want to bring to you today is let's imagine that you had an appointment with me and I had an hour with you. What would I want to show you? What would be the top, say, 5 to 10 things that I would want you to focus on with your kvCORE? And so I'll try and stay along those lines. But as I get in, there's so many cool things that I can easily end up down a rabbit hole. And that's okay too, because no matter what hole I end up down, there's something that I would like to show you. But the biggest thing that you need to do right out of the gate is import your leads. There's some of you that are going to be coming or have come from another brokerage, and maybe you've been here a year and you still don't have your leads in the system. Getting your leads in the system is one of the most crucial things to do, because if you don't have anybody in there, then you're not going to go there to use it. You're not using it to organize your contacts. And so that would be probably the number one thing I would have you do is get your leads into the system. And so all of these links, this sidebar is just full of different shortcuts that you can take to get to different places. Two of the places I'm at the most is marketing, because that's where I can get to my smart campaigns. I can do my core present, which I'm definitely going to touch base on, especially with the new BACs and buyer broker agreements. I'm going to show you how I've incorporated that into my business. Market value reports, we're going to talk about that. And if you go down one more step, it takes you into more of the lead engine tools and features. And that's where you're going to find your bulk import. So there's two ways to import. There's this great one here at the top that's just add contact, where you can simply add one contact at a time. And if you're just starting real estate, maybe that's all you have. You maybe don't have a 5-page CSV file that will allow you to move all of these leads over at once. If you're just getting started, you might just add your mom, or you might add your neighbor, or just here or there a few at a time. And you can do that easily by hitting add contact or the quick actions. kvCORE gives you tons of ways to do the same thing, which is great because we all have different brains and we function differently. So you'll see a lot of repetitive ways to do the same thing. So bulk import, though, that's where we're going to start. And if you're following along, you're going to go down to what looks like a little engine on the side, and I just hit all engine tools, and then you're going to hit start import. The start import gives you two options. One says do it yourself, and one says let us handle it. Guess what? If somebody else can handle something for you, that's what you do. Just let somebody else handle it. So that's the one I'm going to walk you through, because I tried the do it yourself. I just was like, forget about this, because I'm not an Excel nerd. And if you're an Excel nerd, that might work for you. But I want to show you how easy this is. And there's a couple of things I want to show you because they're important, that if you get wrong from the beginning, it's going to make your life a lot harder later. So once you do that and you accept their terms, you definitely want to pick that you're an agent. You want to pick where you're working, and you're going to assign all the leads to you. And even if you have a team of 4 or 5 people and you may be assigning the leads to other people later, I would definitely just assign them to you first, get your kvCORE set up, and then assign them to other people later. You're going to mark that you own the leads. And then this is where you're going to attach the CSV file. And if you don't know how to make a CSV file and you're curious about that, just Google it. But once you have your CSV file, usually I'll back up a little bit. If you have another CRM you're using, before I came to EXP, I used Top Producer, and you can go into that CRM and create a CSV file. You hit export, and then you create a CSV file from there. But this is where you'll attach the CSV file. Now, if in your CSV or your old CRM, you have a bunch of notes attached to each lead, you'll have to actually do those separate. It's a separate note file. I was like, I just need to get these moved over. I didn't worry about the notes. I'll figure that out later. And that's exactly what I did. So I created that CSV. But this is the important part. If you're going to create a CSV file from an old database, I suggest that you do it in categories. You want to take all your buyers and put them in a box. You want to take all your lenders and put them in a box. You want to take all of your sellers, right? You get what I'm saying? Put them in the boxes before you bring them over. Because if you put them all in one box and then drive them to your EXP, your kvCORE, then you have this big box of all of these people and you have to sort it later. So this is a very important part, because if you sort them, and it only takes a short amount of time to do this, very, very simple. If you sort them before you create the CSV file, it will save you hours and hours of time later. So put all your buyers in a CSV, you choose the file, you attach it, and then I put, please import my leads as, and then I put them in a lead status. So if we go back over to your kvCORE, this is your main dashboard. Let's just open up Ruby. Now your lead status, and I can just go back here. See where it says sphere, prospect, new lead, active lead. That's basically your client journey. So not only do you need to put the buyers in a special box, but then you need to decide where are they at in their client journey. Now you can fine tune this later, but maybe you just put them all in your new lead box to start, because that way, you know, if they're in your new lead box, you haven't gone in and fine-tuned them yet. So that's likely what I would recommend. Unless you know all of these buyers that you're bringing over are your clients or even past clients, right? But their buyers are probably not your past clients. They're going to be an active lead or a client. So not only are you deciding what buyer or seller box to put them in, for instance, you're going to decide where they're at with their lead status. So that's what they're asking for here. All right, now, hopefully all of you in the room know what a hashtag is by now, but it's okay if you don't. It wasn't that long ago that I didn't know either. But the hashtag thing, and you've heard me talk about boxes already, is the number one most important thing you'll do in your kvCORE. I don't care if you have 10,000 leads or if you have one. You need to know what your hashtags are, what for each individual person. So I have a hashtag, for instance, a hashtag I use all the time is Polk County. I live in Polk County. I buy leads in Polk County. So I have a Polk County box. So not only am I going to have my buyer box, but then I'm going to have a smaller little cute box inside the buyer box that says Polk County. And if you can sort those leads with the hashtags early on, it allows the system to use what's called our smart CRM inside of the kvCORE that will allow you to sort much, much easier later. And we may get time to talk about that and sort by leads, but we may not. So hashtags and getting your leads imported, crucial, crucial, crucial. But I'm going to go back and just finish walking down the line here. So knowing what your lead status is, we're going to put them in new lead. And then yes, please add hashtags. Now, the system will automatically add an import hashtag, which is fine. But if you know all of these buyers that you're putting in this new lead box are your buyers from the county you live in, then go ahead and add that hashtag. Or maybe you want to add the hashtag buyer. Or maybe you want to add the hashtag like send to someone else. You get to create the hashtags to make them whatever you want. So just adding the hashtag. And then it's going to put another lead type. So if you go back to your client dashboard, you've already decided the client journey, which is the status, and now it wants to find out what lead type it is. So I have all sorts in here. If somebody's a sphere in mine, and this may be different for you, and that's cool. That's the cool thing about kvCORE is that you get to decide because it's yours, but be consistent, right? If you're going to do something in kvCORE, be consistent. So let's say say this is a contractor that I've used. I'll put that contractor in sphere, and then their lead type is going to be a vendor, and then I'll just remove the buyer. Or maybe you have a buyer, it's a buyer, seller, and a contractor. Who knows? You get to do whatever you want, so you can add all three. But knowing what the lead status is, right, which we've talked about, and then the lead type, and then adding that hashtag, you now can go into 3 different boxes to find that person. Because when your kvCORE ends up developing and you have thousands of leads and you try and open up that kvCORE box, it's very difficult to find one of the leads. So the more you pay attention to those categories and add the hashtag, the easier it will be for you to find them later. And then what type of lead would you like to put, or what lead type? So we've already covered that. Do you want to add search alerts? Just get your leads in there. I wouldn't add search alerts because if you're adding, let's say 35 leads from your CSV file, they may not all have the same search alerts. So I did not add search alerts. So we're going to hit no. And we're going to put buyer on there. And do you want them to receive market reports? Market reports are amazing. The first thing I do with the client as soon as they close, I go into the market report, and we'll get into that a little bit more later. But on the client dashboard, it's here over on the right-hand side. The minute a client closes, they become a past client, and I add that past client hashtag, and then I send them a market report for wherever they bought the home. So I wouldn't do that from this stage though, because again, that buyer box that you're bringing over, they may have different zip codes. So I'm going to hit no. And you can even do evaluations, which is great. I could add a campaign. When you're first starting to use kvCORE, you may not have your campaigns figured out, and that's okay. So you'll just hit no. And then you just go down here to submit import file for processing. You'll immediately get an email that says we are processing your CSV file. And then anywhere from a couple hours to 48 hours later, you'll get an email saying your leads have been imported. And then you'll be able to go back into your kvCORE and then go to your smart CRM. And then you can sort over here by the hashtag that you added. So let's say,
hey Liz, I'm gonna stop your screen share for 1 second, but okay. I have to I want to make sure that everyone understands how unbelievably powerful and critical what Liz just shared how to do is. This is like the number one thing that you can even talk to top producers who have like, I've been in real estate for 600 years. I've closed 9 billion transactions. It's like, great. How many people are in your database? They're like, what's a database? It's like, oh no, you're working way too hard for all that success. It's not that you're not going to keep having it. It's just that this is why there's no tread on the bottom of your shoes, because you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. That one move right there of being able to keep track. And by the way, a CSV file is like a fancy Google Sheets. If you create it in Google Sheets, first name, last name, email, phone number, and then you hit file, export as CSV is comma separated value. It's just a really easy to read file for this kind of a system. But Liz, I love that you're doing this, and you teach this to people in your organization all the time, I know, and in the trainings that you do for kvCORE. I know you have like you have a class that you teach, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah. Yes. And
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I made the mistake of bringing over all of those leads at once. You don't have to, because I'm teaching you to take time ahead of time to sort them. And I promise you'll be very, very thankful that you did. So anyways, you can go in later and you can take that hashtag that you used.
Hold on, reshare your screen.
Oh, I have to do that every time we stop, huh?
Yeah, because I wanted to see your beautiful face. My bad.
That's okay.
Hold on, we have a question from Desiree really quickly.
Oh,
Desiree,
good. I
what's
love
up?
Question.
I was just wondering, Liz, can you tell me something to put my mind at rest? So I have not used kvCORE very much, and the biggest reason why is because when I go in there, the leads that have been sent to me in there, it looks like my kvCORE is just texting them and emailing them, and I'm scared to death that if I put my contacts in there, they're going to start getting texts and emails from me that I don't know how to control. So can you just touch on that?
I would be happy to. I experienced the same thing, actually. And so I'm going to go back to a lead dashboard, and bear with me while we work through this, because I want to make sure and answer your question. You have the ability to add campaigns here. And there's a couple that are great. That's like the default seller and the default buyer. And when I first started using my kvCORE, I would have Zillow leads come in and that default buyer campaign would attach. And so you have so long, like 4 hours, something like that, to go in and turn that campaign off. And one of the ways to do that is to take it from, let's say, new lead, and then take them to active lead. And if I've done that, then I know I've had conversations with them, and I need to get the campaigns turned off, because you don't want to meet someone at, let's say, an open house or a call that came in and have those qualifying conversations. And then 4 hours later, they're getting the question like, hi, what's your name? Right? So those campaigns can really make things feel disingenuous. And so the question that you're asking is very, very valid. You can turn your campaigns off, and back to the CSV file, right? Like if you don't add those campaigns in the beginning, you're going to be fine, because it's not going to just start sending a campaign to your client unless you've added it here. And it's by just hitting the add button, you can select from your campaigns. And as you build your campaigns out, you may have 20 different choices here. And there's the buyer default that I was mentioning, right? So no, that's how you see if a lead has a campaign, is that you go into their lead dashboard, and you can see it over here on the right-hand side. So as I started to get control of my leads, I got them into my kvCORE, there was still something on the back end that was happening. And I was like, I don't have any campaigns running. Why in the heck is that going on? So my mouse keeps going between the two. What I realized is that it was sending behavioral alerts. It's called behavioral automation. So if you go over to the paper airplane over here on your left-hand sidebar, and you go into behavioral automation, these things will happen without the campaigns. And so I would suggest to you, once you get your leads in, is to just to go in here and just turn all your behavioral alerts off. Right? Now, these will work for you. This system is very, very smart, and you really want those behavioral campaigns to do what they want to do. But I understand that you don't want them to do something until you understand what they're doing. But the number one thing is to get them in there, because the value that you're going to get from getting in there so that you can follow up with them and start adding campaigns and behavioral alerts is the very most important thing.
Now,
I understand
Liz,
your fear, but just get them in there. But just turn the behavior, just toggle all these over, right? Did you have something to add, Jeff?
I have a question. So it looks like they're at the top under contact statuses. Like if I wanted to import all of my sphere of influence, for instance, as sphere, and then I just turn sphere off, it would mean that new leads that are dropping in, like people I haven't met yet, might be, if they come back after 14 days, it may be like, hey, what's up? It's Skippy, like I'm your agent. But it's not going to do that to my aunt.
Right.
she's in my list and I don't want it doing that. That's like really weird.
Right.
So I can control that at the top. Is that?
Yeah. You don't have to turn all of them off, but it's all about your comfort level.
Yeah,
And it's not that hard to figure out either, right? So let's say you just got all you have to do is go in and hit preview, and you can read what it says. And then you just edit it. It'll give you the opportunity to edit it however you want. And these little name blocks, is that what they're called? Is that right, Jeff? Name block?
Merge fields generally.
Merge fields, yeah. I just went in and I removed that, because if I got to a point where I hadn't had a chance to update their name, I didn't want it to say, hi, orange vehicle 69 at Yahoo, right? So the cool thing is that you can decide what you want the merge fields to say, or if you want to remove them. It's really easy to go in and do. So I just took some time and went through and edited each of these. And so you'll see that there's email automations and then there's text. And once I went in and fine-tuned those, then I went ahead and toggled those back over, because again, you want the system to work for you. That's like one of the main purposes of having a smart CRM, is because it works for you so that while you're out showing houses, you're nurturing leads. So when you get all of your contacts over, you decide what status they're going to be in. Just make sure that one, like Jeff said, is toggled over for a bit until you have time. Take an hour one day and go through, not even an hour, a half hour, and get through your behaviors. But that's how you get there, is the little paper airplane, and then you go to behavior automation. Now, let's say you already have people in your system and you don't want to toggle over a whole category. You can go one by one and then go up to more actions and turn off the behavioral alerts. So this is how trusting I am sometimes. Like I know like the behavioral alert is completely turned off for a category. And if I add someone and I know I don't want them to get any of those, like, hey, it's been 14 days since I've seen you, blah, 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 I'll still go in and make sure that their behavioral alerts are turned off. So you have more control of that than you think. And I hope that answered your question.
Yes, that's very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's see. We've got your leads in here. I've kind of showed you the dashboard here. Another thing that I think that would be important for you to know is like you don't have a CSV, but you really want to start driving leads to your website. You want to start driving leads into your kvCORE. And for those of you that don't know, if you click up here on your name on the right, top right-hand corner, you can get to your website. So you can just click on the little globe that'll open a new window here. And that's your front end. That's your website. That's what people see, right? That's where it's like a restaurant. The front end is where the hostess is that greets you, and the ambiance and the smell of the food. And then the back end is where the chef is working their magic. That's the side that you get to see, right? So your goal is to get as many people as possible to come here so that you can nurture them and take care of them here. And so you get to design this, and we might be able to get there, but there's just so much I can show you. So we'll just see how far we get. So one of my favorite ways, and this is if I had an hour with your kvCORE, I'd be like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go into listings. So how many of you would like to do an open house this weekend and make some money, right? There's probably a couple of you in the room that are going to do an open house. And maybe you don't know where the open houses come from. You could sort by Zillow, but why would you do that when you have the kvCORE at your fingertips, right? You're going to go into where you live. Again, we're focusing on bringing leads into your system. So you can sort by agency listings, which will make that any EXP listings that are in the system. And then you can pick the town that you're from. Because that's how I like to farm, right? You farm where you live because you're going to be the expert in your field. So you want to do open houses that are in your area. Maybe you're a baller and you just want to do as many open houses in as many areas as you want. That's great. But not everybody's able to do that. And you really just got to narrow down your focus and set your sights on your area. The more you can focus on your farm and become the expert in your area, the more longevity you'll have for your business. So this dummy account is all Arizona. So, let's just pick one. But you get my point. So we'll just pick this one. Okay, so I can open up 143rd Drive and I can actually see that Katie has an open house, which is fine. You could go back and find one that doesn't, but Katie is only having one open house. So maybe you want to do one on the 9th since she's doing one on the 8th. You have her info here. You can call her and say, hey, Katie, I would love to do an open house on your 143rd this weekend on the 9th from 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. And she's going to be like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Help me sell it, right? So what you do is you go up here to boost property. Back up. Before you boost the property, there's a couple things you need to ask the agent. 1, can I have the open house? 2, can I market your property to try and bring you a buyer? And 3, am I able to do some live video while I'm at your property to really get it out there and get it public for you? And she's going to say, yeah, that's great. But you have to have permission. Don't go into your kvCORE, find a property listed by someone else and boost the property or put it out online because you'll get a phone call, right? People love, real estate agents are vain, right? They want to know that you understand that this is their listing because we work hard for our listings. So we're going to dive into boost property. But the first thing I do after I call Katie and say, hey, can I promote your listing, is that I'll just take this direct link right here and I'll drop it into my personal Facebook or even my business Facebook, personal Facebook, maybe both, whatever you feel is good, whatever works for you. And then you just drop the link in there. I'm going to take a second and talk about this because I watch people online and I watch the things they post, and it surprises me how many people are advertising listings and they're just using some random WVMLS listing link or somewhere that they're never going to be able to capture any of those leads. They're never going to be able to follow up with those leads except for their Facebook. Use the links that the CRM provides you because then you're driving traffic to your website and then you have the ability to follow up with them. So you take it, you drop the link in here. Please, this is one of my pet peeves. After you drop the link, it will start to load. Delete the link. Nobody needs to see the link. You can delete the link and it's still there. Look how much better that looks. And then you put open house this Sunday, right? Thank you to Katie, who's allowed me to host this beautiful property for her and her sellers. So always give credit to the person that allowed you to do their open house. And that's free. That doesn't cost you anything to do that, right? You could boost it with it. Yeah.
Hey, real quick. I just noticed that Joanne has her hand up and I wanted to see if she had a question. It looks like maybe she does.
Delita has a question. Go ahead, Delita.
Okay.
It was me, but it was back a few steps. So now
That's
it's
okay.
so weird going back there.
Oh, don't feel weird. We can go back.
I get email leads like, hey, this lead visited your website, but they are looking in a completely different city, like 3 hours away. Does that happen for people? And if you covered this already, sorry. How do you
No,
do that?
that's
Yeah.
interesting to me. Well, they're looking at leads in the leads.
Portland.
Well, so your
Well, it's
website,
weird.
first
When
of
you
all,
go to my website, it has my listings, and then down
Yeah.
below it has all the Oregon, the entire state of Oregon listings. So somebody somehow makes it to my website, sees the house in Portland they want, and then I get that lead. Weird.
are you with the RMLS?
Yes, in just a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, so RMLS surrounds the WVMLS, and I think Oregon has about 5 different MLSs. They've talked about maybe combining all of those eventually. And obviously every state is different, but the RMLS works Portland, and then it wraps around and it also works Eugene and areas south of Salem. So it's kind of nice, right? And that's one of the reasons why I work WVMLS and RMLS, because I really want to throw the biggest net out that I can. So your MLS, if you go up here to the right-hand corner and you go to not
Liz,
your
I think we
MLS.
lost your screen share. Sorry.
Oh, thanks for the reminder. Good thing I didn't get too far ahead there. Okay, to backtrack. So everybody heard what I said about the RMLSs, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Which, by the way, that's in Oregon for anyone who's not.
Yeah, and I'm sure if anybody lives, there's many of us here in this great community and plenty of other places, but I can only speak for Oregon. But if you want to know what MLS is connected to your kvCORE, because you can have more than one. I remember when we could only have one, and then they were like, you can have more. We were, it was like super great. But if you want to know how to check to see what MLS is connected to your kvCORE, you'll go up to here to the right-hand corner and you go to my profile, and then you see where it says agent MLS ID.
Yeah.
This is where you put, that's where you connect it, and you just look it up there and connect it. So your RMLS is already connected, but I wanted to make sure people understood that part of it. But all I can say is, like, kudos to you for driving traffic to your website. Call one of your EXP partners or another agent you love to work with in that area and say, I have a buyer referral for you.
Okay.
You could even follow up with the lead in your system and say, hey, I see that you're looking at homes. Thank you for checking out my website. Would you like me to connect you with someone in that area in order to see the property? Like, that's actually a gift. But if they're just sitting in your kvCORE not doing anything, then it's going to waste.
Yeah.
So immediately get in there and then take it from there. And then so when you go into the lead, and now you've made that connection with the Portland agent, you can go down here and share that lead with the other agent. Now there's 2 ways you can actually transfer the lead. And if you transfer the lead, you will never see him in your kvCORE ever again. But you can share the lead, and then it will still look like it's coming from your website. You're still able to go in and see what they're doing. So it depends on how much power you want to give the other agent. If the agent, you're just giving them the 25% referral and you really don't want to think about it again, you send them the referral form, transfer it out. But if you're sending this to maybe your team member and you want them to still think that you're the main hub for information, then you'll share it. And make sure if you do share it that they do view and edit, or you do view and edit, so that they can put in their notes, right? Because we need to add notes. I do more notes than anything, right? I want to remember the conversations I've had. I want to remember what their kids' names are. I want to remember what lender they're using. And I do all that with add note here on the right-hand side. So make sure that if you share, you give them the power to add notes, and then use your initials, right? Like, hey, so that you can remember who added what note.
Hey, Liz.
But if you want to transfer the lead to those people in Portland, you just go down to more actions and hit transfer lead. And then you can select the agent. And then once they populate, you select it, and then you hit transfer, and it's gone.
I have a question, Liz.
Yeah.
So when you're adding notes, do you do that on the fly on your cell phone, or do you try to do it, before you go to bed or in the morning? How do you do that? Collect every conversation and stuff, because that is my biggest problem, probably.
if you, okay, I got my hour with you. Download the kvCORE app. If you've got 5 minutes in between showings, open your kvCORE app, see what reminders you have set for the day, and start making calls. Just go to the App Store, download the app. Because you can do that while you're on your phone. You can transfer their status. You can schedule follow-up leads. You can add notes. So I use my kvCORE as a hub. If I sit down on my computer, which I know you're in your office a lot, Joanna's, I open up my kvCORE. If I'm going to do anything with anyone, I've got my client dashboard opened up. I make a call or I send them an email. I'm adding my note. We're supposed to do that as agents anyways. You're supposed to have a paper trail of the times that you talk to them, what you talk about. Use your kvCORE as your database to make sure that you're compliant. And one of the ways to do that is by adding notes. But yes, if you're not at your desktop, the mobile app is fantastic. It's not as good as the desktop, but it's fantastic.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other
And
questions?
Liz, we just put both of those links for the Android and the iPhone in the chat for people who need it.
Perfect. Yeah, I was going to show you that if you go here up to download mobile app,
Saturday.
it will but it just shows you a picture of what it looks like. But Jeff's the bomb. He gave you the links anyways. I know we're going to go back to Property Boost. I definitely want to touch on that. But while we're talking about apps, I wanted to make sure that everybody in the room knows that they have their own app. Do you know you can meet a buyer at an open house and say, hey, that you really make a connection, but like, would you like to download my home app so that you and I can communicate and you can see what listings, sorry, let me back up. Listings, it's the same IDX feed as Zillow or Redfin, but let me show you my app. That way we can communicate, and it's actually a really cool app. And the way that it's designed is for the entire client journey, because it'll give you home maintenance tips. So it's for your sellers too. So the sooner you can give someone your home app and get them in your database that way, it's just another way to nurture your clients, right? In the long term. The old Millions map that we used to have was really designed for buyers, but this one is designed for the entire journey. Now, when I teach this class in person, one of the first things I see people do is that they start putting in their cell phone and their email address or scanning the QR code on this page. But you don't have to do that. That's if you're going to an external app, it needs to know who you are. This is your app. You don't need to tell this app who you are. But the point is to get this app in the hands of people that you want to have come to your website and be in your world. So you could give them, all you have to do is save this link. Save this link. I use Notes app for everything, right? I drop the link there. I meet a new buyer and I say, hey, let me send you my home app, and I'll open up my Notes app and I'll cut and paste it and drop it to them. What's your phone number, right? Another great way to get someone's phone number. What's your phone number? Here's my home app. Now they'll have to register. I put it on the back of my business cards, and when it'll take you to the app store. So if they don't already have your app, you have to download it. So make sure that they know that. It's not like it's just a direct link to your your website. But you have your own app, and not very many people can say that, right? And it's already built in for you, and it's free. So check it out. Now, don't have your husband or somebody that's not in your kvCORE download it so that you can see what it looks like. If you have a different phone number you can use, you can do it. You don't want to put yourself in your kvCORE, especially with your EXP email, because it can mess things up. It won't function properly. But one of the best ways to see what happens on the back end, on the front end of your website in your kvCORE is to add yourself. Just make sure not to use that one email. Okay, so I'm going to go back to, let's make some money. Yeah.
If we've already messed that up, how do we delete ourselves?
Oh, like you put yourself in your kvCORE already?
I believe so.
If you ever need to find anybody in your kvCORE, it's over here on the left-hand side left-hand sidebar under all contacts. You can just sort. Welcome to your new smart CRM. It looks a little bit different, so I'm not going to recommend you go here. This is more to sort by a ton of leads at one time. Instead, I'll just have you go up here to the magnifying glass and you'll put your name in there. And it will auto-populate if they're in your system. And sometimes I'll just sort by the phone number. Like maybe I spelled their name wrong, but you want to find someone, you can sort by the phone number, but obviously it'll be easy for you to find yourself. So you'll open yourself up and then you'll go over to more actions and then you'll just hit delete contact over here on the right-hand side. I don't delete very many things. That would be an obvious one. If I'm going to do anything, it would be an archive lead. Once you archive a lead, it drops off of your desktop. If you go to search up here for someone that you archived, you're not going to be able to find them. You'll have to go over to your smart CRM and then sort under filters. And there's an archived up here at the top. That's the only way you'll be able to see your archive leads. Okay.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So moving on. We're going to go into the listings again. You've selected a listing that you want to do an open house on. You've got permission from the agent. And this could be your listing, right? It doesn't have to be someone else's, but I'd like to show you a way to find an open house and literally start making money this weekend. Start generating leads this weekend. So there's some fun things that you can do with more actions, and we'll get into that in a second. But the boost property, now I've boosted properties. Remember I showed you how to go into Facebook and post a link. You can boost it for free. You can just do a link for free. I use that when I give kudos to the other agent. And you can also boost it within Facebook and let that work. Or you can just use your kvCORE, and your kvCORE will boost it for you. If you're going to do an open house, you have to have at least 3 days ahead of time. So if you're past that mark of 3 days, just run it as a normal listing. But for this purpose, we'll do open house. You make sure you have a proper listing. You can change it from here. You can change the image. You can display the price if you want to, but the point is to get them to ask you questions. So I know Jeff and some other people might say don't put the price, but that's ultimately up to you. And maybe do both and see what you like better. But then you can just do this cute little display, image overlay, and you can change your targeting. If you have a listing, for instance, a seller, and they say, well, I know my buyer's going to come from California. I just know it. And what are you going to do to target California? You can say, my website, I will target to California buyers for you. And you can do that because you can go into this target and do your normal target, but you can add a target area. So I can drop that and then take it right on over to California. And now I'm working 2 states at one time. And I guarantee you the majority of the agents in your area, unless they have kvCORE like you do, aren't able to do that for, at the little like flick of a wrist.
This is phenomenal, Liz. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, most people wouldn't even know. And so that can really, really serve and do a lot for you in a listing appointment. So that's one of my favorite things I've learned about kvCORE is that, the dual targeting. You can do as many as you want. And then you're going to put in your open house information. It's always good to add a compliance text. I add the licensed real estate broker to everything. If you do any marketing, it needs to, at least in Oregon, that's the rule here. So make sure that you are compliant with your local state laws and what your principal broker wants you to do. You can add the seller information here. Now, I would do this for my own listing. I wouldn't do that for another agent's listing that I'm doing an open house on, but I'm going to add my seller's email because then they'll get seller reports and updates of all the hard work that you're doing. So make sure and add the seller's email. So just in this one area, you're able to drive traffic to your website for a specific listing, give your seller an update, market yourself in multiple states, and guess how much this is all going to cost for an open house? $45. That's not very much, right? Like, don't buy a couple Starbucks for a while. Don't buy Starbucks for a while and spend $45 to drive traffic to your website and make your seller know that you're doing some great things for them. So for that $45, you can get up to 12 contacts. I've had it vary. I've had more. The one I use the most is this promote your listing. And all you need to do is come down here and add your credit card information. And once you do that, you hit click and then complete checkout and you're done. I can get this done in under 5 minutes. So if I have a listing going live on Friday, I go in and I boost the property. In under 5 minutes, I've already targeted multiple states, given my seller report, done. So
Hey,
make sure
Liz, I have to jump in here and just say, oh my gosh. First off, didn't know about a bunch of these features, which is, you're like blowing my mind right now. Super exciting.
Thanks.
And second off, you're totally right. This would blow any seller's mind. Like, not only am I going to run ads, but listen, I'll give you live updates. We'll send you emails and text messages and all sorts of stuff, just let you know how your marketing is going. And then you don't even have to do it. And the third thing that I'm realizing from this screen, which I haven't even screwed with this part of kvCORE. So again, totally vulnerable, not knowing this, but super, I get fired up when I learn new stuff. So I'm excited right now.
I know you do.
Liz is rocking my socks off. So here's what's cool, guys, is this is kvCORE's ad account on Facebook. So a lot of times there's this like thought process of like, well, in order to run ads, I'll have to like learn how to warm up an ad account, run multiple ad accounts. What if my ad account gets shut down on Facebook? And then once I've got it going, how do I increase my deliverability, make sure I'm maximizing the algorithm? Bleh. You know, it's like you're like, I need to become an expert in this one thing. And with this, what they've done is they're running it on their thing. It'll just be like property listings generic, right? But that's not what it's called. But like they're putting it out there, but they're using their ad account. You're paying them. They run as an intermediary and their account's already up and running. If it gets flagged, they probably have 26 ad accounts running. It doesn't matter. They'll just rerun it on another one. And so it's like hiring a top level marketing company inside kvCORE, and the interface is all digital. You can just go pick it up and you're done. That like had this been around back in the day, man, I remember I watched like 600 YouTube videos learning how to do this crap. And now you don't even have to know it. You can just be like, boop, 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 done, gonna go have lunch. That's awesome. Yeah. Congrats, man. This is so cool. I love that you're sharing this.
I know. It makes me excited too, just how easy that is, right? It doesn't have to be super complicated. And I've ran the Facebook ads and the kvCORE ads, and I actually get more out of the kvCORE ads.
Not surprised.
And maybe that's because you know what, they know what they're doing. There's a reason. It's okay to lean on them.
Yeah.
But what I want to tell you,
Steve has his hand up in here in a second. I just want to make sure. I know you're not seeing all that stuff because you're on 12 screens or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Hi.
I know
Hi,
I can see how to share my app from desktop, but when I'm standing in front of someone, I've got the mobile app open. I can't find anywhere in here how to share it from this, like on the fly while you're standing in front of them. And I even typed it into help and support. I can't find the instructions on how to do that. So
interesting. Okay, so we're just
happens to me all the time on support systems. I ask what should be to me a very common question. They have nothing about it. So anyway, help me with that if you can.
That means you think outside the box, and there's nothing wrong with that. So when next time you're at your desktop, I want you to just click your name in the top right-hand corner and then open up your app. And then grab the URL at the top. Copy it.
That link in my notes is what you're suggesting. So there's not a button on the app when I'm inside it on the iPhone.
Right. Okay. Right. So it just looks like this. You can copy any link you want and share it, right? And it's the same concept.
All right. I just want to make sure I wasn't missing something. And I will say you're probably going to touch on this, but the open house app, tell them to download that as well. I feel so professional when I have my iPad sitting there instead of a handwritten piece of paper, and they just go up to it or they grab my phone and they punch in all their information to register that they visited. And then I don't have to add them later. It's phenomenal.
That is phenomenal. And it's just one of those other things that we have here at EXP or kvCORE where, is that you have that open house app. And you're right, it goes right into your kvCORE. You can set up campaigns with the hashtag open house because you want to make sure they have those hashtags. And then that campaign will start because you added the open house hashtag, and 4 hours later an email can go out that says like, it was so nice to meet you at the open house. hey, by the way, in my state, it's I'm supposed to give you agency pamphlet. Here's that, whatever it is. And you can just set up the campaign to work that open house lead for you. Instead of going back to the house and like, oh, I got to add it. And, and then I got to add the campaign, that you can set all of that up in advance. So on the app note, I want to tell you, there is, I think it's on this one.
Hey, Liz, I just saw while you're looking for that, Tyler Boning just commented, and it's such a great comment. He said that app, the open house app, is going to be absolutely fire when the new NAR rules come into play for open houses. And I think he's right, because you're going to be able to address some of the required compliance stuff up front in a way that is completely automated, so you never forget.
That's a great point. We're all going to be adjusting our sales a little bit. But one thing has never changed, is that the more you can automate things and have an SOP, have your systems and your process. Like, I get a lead, I go to kvCORE, I put in the information, I have systems, and it really helps you have a stronger business. And I mean, we could go on all day about the cool features in here, and that's why we have this class every once in a while, so that we can learn new things about it. But I will tell you really quick, this call to capture. So what I did, and I got there with a little engine, is I went in and I hit add new, and I put my home app, right? Message, and then I dropped a link, hashtag, and then I put my home app.
Oh my gosh, I love this. I know what you're doing now.
Yeah, so
incredible. You're so smart.
I add the hat that way. If when I give somebody my home app, that hashtag will add that says my home app. And then I tie it to my smart number. And I can talk to you a little bit about smart numbers. Let me tell you what. And then I hit add. But what I did is, now when I'm out with a client, instead of having to drop a link to them about my home app, which is fine, and that probably makes the most sense to most people, but all I have to do is say, hey, open your cell phone, type this number, or type my home app to this phone number, and they'll get an automatic response with the link, and then they can click on the link. And what that did is that forced them to give you their phone number. And any lead with the phone number is the bomb. That is the purpose of leads. And that's why you need to get away from putting the paper flyers at your listings in the little box, because you'll never know where the leads go. You need to be creating text codes or putting a QR code on your signs. One goal you have this year, forget about the paper flyers. If it's important to your seller, do both, but get writers on your signs that says text Liz is awesome to this phone number. Okay. Now, smart numbers.
Liz, can you tell us how you did that? I got as far as you went to engine and then you lost me.
So you go to engine and then you go to call and capture. This is amazing. Call and capture forces people to give you their phone number. Put a rider on. Have you ever seen riders in your area on signs that say text this to this number for more info? That's what they're doing. They're driving. So you'll watch someone pull up to the side of the house. They'll text the number. You could give them a flyer that's just for that property, or it could go right to your Facebook chat and you start chatting with them. But the purpose is that you're getting their phone number. And if you have someone's real phone number, then you can have real conversations, right? Those real conversations. And the text codes also allow you to go up, see if you go up to your name on the right-hand corner of the top, this is your smart number. I can guarantee however many people are in the room now, 50, 30, whatever, there's many of you that have the same phone number. And so there's something I need you to understand about them, is that I don't want you just to go put this smart number. You're like, oh my gosh, I have my own, office phone number. You do, but you don't. Now you can buy the smart number for $27 a month and it will be yours and only yours. But the majority of you in this room share a phone number. So you need to understand how it works. One, it's not your phone number and you can't change that to your cell number. I get that question all the time. Nope, you can't change that to your regular number. That's your smart number. It tethers off my phone. If I hit call a lead from my kvCORE system, it uses that smart number, but it tethers off of my cell phone. And so if you're not going to spend money to purchase your own smart number and you want to use that number, text codes are the way to do it. Because if you text code your smart number, it will come into your system and only your system. But if you give that phone number out to a lead and they call it and they're not already in your system, then it can go to any of the agents that are round robin with that smart number. So text codes, that's another great thing about it, is that you can use your smart number without purchasing a smart number to make sure that they stay in your database.
Well, and Liz, something that you just said like really struck me, which is effectively like $27 a month. Is that what you said it is? So that's okay. I ran the numbers. That's $324 a year for everybody to just kind of understand. If you give out that smart number and the lead gives it to their friend, right? Like your lead's already in your system, so it's tagged to you, but they give it to their friend and they're like, call Liz, and they call that smart number, but Liz is one of 653 agents using the same smart number. It will round robin that person's phone call to one of those. So she has a 1 in 600 chance of getting that lead. Now, even though her friend was like, call Liz, it will go to the office and round robin. So I think for $324 a year, that's massively worth it, because then that smart number is only going to you ever. You could just put it as your phone number on everything. You can put it on a billboard. Doesn't matter. Right?
Doesn't matter.
Am I getting that right now?
Yeah, no, that's 100%.
Okay.
And once I bought my smart number, I just text all of my past clients and said, hey, I don't know if I ever gave you my office number. Will you save it as my contact? So now when I work kvCORE system and they get a text from my kvCORE system, they have that number saved in their phone. And so it allows me to leverage my kvCORE on kind of a whole other level. But again, you go to the little engine and then go to call and capture, and it shows you what your smart number is there. And then it actually gives you your personal text code here on the right-hand side. And then you can order your smart number to pay for your smart number right there, right in the middle of the screen.
Love it. We'll have to turn your screen share on in a second. Tyler is on. Tyler's got a question though, and I got to get these questions in.
No problem. We love questions. I just thought that's a cool part, but anyways, we can move on. Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Liz.
One of my favorite people.
Couple of things. So, I mean, the smart number thing is also a great idea, because then you can have one more touch of just like reaching out to people that are like, hey, this is my new business line. And wanted to make sure you had it. How's it going? And just entice conversation. Question though, with the custom text code, because you're going into stuff that I don't know. Per like specific listing, whether it's is there a way to set up that it will automatically attach a hashtag that like matches the address?
Yeah. So when you're in here, I'm going to go back to, can I go back to share screen now?
Yeah, I've got mine up over here and I'm like,
okay, perfect.
Input. So
yeah. So when, just like I showed you with your home app, which screen is my mouse on, you silly goose? You're just going to hit add new and the custom code, and then you can do an MLS number. It'll attach it to that, or you can do a message, but you're creating it with the hashtag there. So let's say it's like 124 Sesame Street, right? And then you want to attach the MLS number, and you add the MLS number there, and then you select your smart number, and it will actually send the MLS listing, like that listing's information, to them. So it replaces the paper flyers that are in the ground.
All right.
So as soon as you go live with the listing, go to your sign company, if they pay $5 for a writer, and have it say like, text this number to this number for this property's information. Now, if you can use a generic, that's great if you want to be spending $5 for writers every time you have a new listing, because it is kind of cool, because giving instant information is very gratifying and buyers love that. But if you can do a more generic one that just says text Tyler Rocks to this phone number, and it's on your listings, then you'll know how to respond. But then you don't have to change it out every time you have a new listing, because you can just have 5 writers that say the same thing. So it depends on what your purpose is. And then you can tie a campaign to it, to that hashtag, so that automated things happen every time they do that without you having to be in the office to do them.
Right, because and this is helpful because like my brain went automatically through the function of like everyone gets automatically tagged with that hashtag like for 424 Main Street, and then I can go back into kvCORE and just mass add market report for those people and just automatically search that hashtag to have everyone who's visited, they're getting market reports, and then I'm calling them.
Yep. And then you can say, hey, by the way, my open house this weekend, I got or on my sign or whatever it is, you can go in and sort by that hashtag and be able to give your seller an update with lots of value, because you'll be able to tell them exactly what you've done for their listing. So it's just a cool way of tracking things.
I have a question, Liz.
Okay.
So are you saying, because I know you said you could either have text 123 Main Street 2, or you could say text Tyler Rocks 2. Are you saying that you could have different text numbers? Like, could you have Tyler Rocks 2 and still know which house they were at, or not? Like, is there a number
not unless you used a specific, like 123 Sesame Street.
Right, okay, so you'd have to get a writer for each listing if you wanted to know which house they were at, or if you wanted to send a flyer or something.
Or it could be part of your process that once that someone comes in, that's one of your qualifying questions. Like, hey, how did I meet you?
But if you wanted them to get information about that particular listing, you would have to have a separate writer for that listing. Otherwise you wouldn't know. Yeah. Okay.
Right. And then once it goes under contract,
of replacing those paper flyers is that they could text it and get it instantaneously, and you wouldn't want to have to follow up and go, which one did you want? Okay, I'll get around to sending that to you sometime today. You don't want that.
Right. So there's going to be things that you'll use a generic text code on. Maybe it's just a flyer about you. And then there's going to be things that you'll use specific text codes. So I can't believe how quickly time goes. So one of the classes I teach is literally all day long, and it's still not enough time. Because it just all depends on the questions, and the questions are the best. I love it. So I just need to do this more often is really what it is. So, but I want to just finish up on a thought, and then I want to show you something that I've incorporated into my life recently, especially with the new NAR stuff. So we've boosted a property, but you can go in here too for your open houses that you're going to do this weekend. You can print a flyer. You can generate a QR code, and that kind of ties to the text code we were talking about. You can generate a QR code, and that QR code will take them to that property. So you're going to do the open house. I want you to take this QR code, put it into Canva, list all the other open houses in the area, put your logo on it, your info, and say, hey, take a second and check out my website. Here's the flyer information about this specific property. Oh, by the way, I thought I would just give you some other ideas for for open houses, and just put it on a flyer. And that's all right there. Like it's already coded for you. There's a way to post to Craigslist, and that's so old school, but it's really, really cool. And it takes a matter of seconds. I'm guessing that this dummy one doesn't have it set up. Ooh, it does. Did you see how fast that went? In a matter of seconds, the system created a text code for me and tied it to Craigslist. And all I have to do is hit publish, and then you'll get an email, and then you publish that and you're on Craigslist. And it uses a text code for you to capture their phone number. So really, really cool. But let's see, it's 10:10. I want to dive into one of my very, very favorite things. Oh, you can boost the property from here too. It doesn't have to be in the listing. I told you kvCORE gives you lots of ways to do the same thing. So we're going to go into core%. So we're at the paper airplane, and we're going to hit get started. This looks so much different. All of the fancy updates that they just did. Like, I love how they're always changing. Okay. So there's a couple things you can do in here. You can create a presentation if you're going on a listing appointment. You can create a presentation for a buyer, or you can just create a general one. So having a really nice presentation for a listing appointment is invaluable. So definitely go in there and play with that. but I wanted to show you the buyer tour. So you're going to go in and let's just pull 3 MLSs. So I can do that really quickly because I'll go back into the listings and then I'll grab the MLS from right here and I'm going to drop them. I'm going to add another. I'm not going to, so if I go out to show some houses, I'm not going to do a buyer presentation necessarily for one property. I guess I could, especially now what I'm going to show you as far as what I'm doing to change my business since the buyer broker agreement. But the more you have in here, the more detail it is and the better, right? But we'll just do 2 because that's all I need for purposes of you got to pick a client name. I think there was a Rudy in there, a Ruby. So you click who you're creating it for. And then I'm going to hit save and continue. And it maps it out for you. Unfortunately, you can't change the order of the homes. It does it and it picks the order. They've changed that. And I've actually filed a request to have them switch it back. Because you used to be able to say like, okay, I'm showing that one first. I'm showing that one second. Because we put them in order the way we schedule them. But since their update, you haven't been able to do that. So I'm working on that in the back end to make sure we get the old way back. And then you can add some slides, like what buyers want from their agent. That would be a good slide to add. What do buyers get? Where do buyers get their info? Maybe. I think the home buying process would probably be even more important. And so then you add those selected slides and it adds that to your presentation. And then you'll see if you select on properties, it pulls the IDX information. Got to hit the next button so you can see it. Shows the map, shows the average days on market, how many are in the R tour, shows you the slides, and then it actually gives them the information about the property. So what I do, and then at the end, if it's a web version, it gives them the opportunity to actually rank the property, or if it's a PDF version, obviously it's not going to have that. Then we're going to want to, you can add the slide back in with the finish here. This is what it looks like. It's giving me a little trouble. Anyways, knowing that there's a web version or a PDF version, because I'm going to use both. I'm going to use the web version because I'm going to take this, I'm going to hit present and share, and I'm going to email it, but I'm also going to take the PDF version, which I can just download and print from here, and then I'll take that with me. So when I greet the buyer, I say, hey, I took the liberty of printing off the information I sent you last night. Because if I know I'm doing a buyer tour for someone, I'll go in and do this the night before, and then I will copy the link. You can email it too, but I usually just copy the link. And then I go into my email and I say, you know, it's really looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. I took the opportunity to create this presentation for you. You'll also see that I've attached the agency pamphlet, which is disclosure in Oregon that I'm supposed to give to you upon first meeting. And I've also attached the buyer broker agreement that by law I have to show you as well. And so now you've given them the information that you're supposed to give them before you have actually met them in person. And then makes the conversations the next morning much, much easier because they've had a chance to review that. And then I'll go in and download and print the presentation and then attach the pamphlet and attach the buyer broker agreement. And then when we get into that first house, we'll walk through it a little bit. I'll have them sign it and we're done. So I wanted to make sure that you kind of can take that NAR information that you've been digesting so much over the last couple of months and really know how to have that first conversation and incorporate it. Any questions about that? No? Good. And you can get to any of your old presentations just by going back to the main screen, and you can do the web, you can grab them later. Kind of cool, right?
So cool, Liz. This is a really amazing component here. And again, another piece of the software that I'm completely unfamiliar with, which is awesome. So you're totally rocking my brain right now.
Oh, it's good. It's good. And I'm just constantly trying to learn so that I can bring us here at the community new content. So if there's ever anything that you're like, Liz, next time I really would love you to focus on this, please let me know and I'll try and do that, because the time just really does fly. So another thing I told you, if you give me an hour with your kvCORE, what would I want you to know? And there's really two more things that I would want you to know. And one is to go into your profile and just make sure that your MLS is connected, that your phone number is correct, that your email is correct. I highly recommend that, just as this person did at one point, that you not only you have to keep your EXP email, you have to keep your account email as your real estate brokerage email. Otherwise, you'll get locked out of your account. But then you want to add a vanity email address. Someone gave me some advice a long time ago, and that was like, don't use your brokerage address. You say, you're going to be loyal forever. And I know I am, but you never know. And so it's just, as a top producer, advice I would give anyone is to always have your own email, so that if you ever do have to make a move, all of your clients don't have the email that goes to that brokerage. So I want you to put in your vanity email address here so that you have the ability to have power of over your business. And that's one of the ways to do that.
I love that, Liz. The other thing is you also control your deliverability score, right? So it's not connected to, I know there's some other brokerages, for instance, that use kvCORE, but if your brokerage really sucks at deliverability, and so now they're getting spam listed a lot, you're going to be impacted by that.
That is a really good
thing. You controlling the domain, now you control your deliverability score, get on DIB or some of the other resources out there and clean it up.
Yeah, that's a really good point that I hadn't thought of. So another thing I want you to do, because I showed you how to boost properties, Facebook. You need to make sure that your Facebook is connected, because that is what kvCORE uses to boost the properties. So going in, changing your headshot, making sure your MLS listing is connected so that your listings will actually show up on your website. So for a while, I didn't understand why mine weren't. Adding your vanity email, making sure your Facebook is connected. You've got to have an about me. Just take some bullet points, drop it into ChatGPT and have it create one for you. Like, it's a matter of seconds. Like, add the about me, because that shows up on your website and it speaks about who you are. It's your mission statement. Having a signature is a really good idea. So those emails that go out, say your name and how they can get a hold of you outside of your website. And then over here on the right-hand side, do you see where it says, this is new? This is one of the newest things with kvCORE. We see where it says appointment availability. You can schedule appointments now, kind of like Calendly, but it's all tied to your kvCORE, right? And so you'll need to know where this part is in order to really fine-tune your appointment availability. So if you go to your main dashboard and you open up one of your leads, you can hit here under appointments, you can hit add. Disclosure. I just did this yesterday and there was a kink. I scheduled it for Thursday and they got a reminder for Friday. So I'm working on that on the back end too. So pay attention to, if you're going to start diving into things, pay attention to what it's doing and just make sure it's working properly. And if it isn't, guess what? You go down here to the little blue bubble at the bottom right-hand side of the screen and you say, hey, this isn't working properly, or maybe I don't know how to use it, and they'll help you. It's going to drive you through AI to try and force you to look at all of the amazing information they have and the learning tools. Like, okay, dude, figure it out. Here's an article about it. And a lot of times your answers could be answered like that. Like Steve said, sometimes people don't know the answers, even if I get a hold of a person. That's a thing too. But they have a whole library of information of how to learn things for yourself. And that's what this AI is going to try and drive you to. But you can always just keep hitting, like, talk to someone, and eventually they will. Sometimes it will take 4 hours. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes. But if it's 4 hours, you'll actually get an email notification about it. And you can actually just start emailing with someone too and carry on that conversation from there. But that appointment setter is huge. Like it's actually once I know the kinks are worked out, like it might replace my Calendly because I use kvCORE a lot. It's my database. I can schedule the appointment from right there and it shows up on my Google Calc. Now, if there's people in the room and you're trying to do this right now and it's not working, there's a reason. Because there's a step you have to do before you can set an appointment. And I recommend all of you do this. And this is my last thing I was going to show you today is connect your kvCORE to your Google Calendar. And if you're not using Google yet, you need to get over it. You need to use Google Calendar. Google is everything. Google Docs, Google Forms, Google Calendar. Like you need to use Google Calendar, Google Business. Like I could do a whole hour just on that stuff, right? But connecting your kvCORE to your Google Calendar will allow you, like Joanne was saying, to be at your in between appointments, looking at your phone. You can look at your calendar and go, oh my gosh, I got 5 kvCORE reminders today. There's 5 people I need to call. You can click on that. It'll open up your kvCORE mobile app and you can take care of 5 appointments without being at your desktop. And you have to add and sync your calendars to do that. And if you want me to show you how to do that, I can, but I think there might have been a question. Did somebody, Steve Super Steve.
It's me again.
Hi.
So I wanted to clarify. So I know other brokerages use kvCORE. I'm currently talking with a gentleman at a local independent and he's on kvCORE. So if he comes on board, that should be a very easy transition, right? He just has to change his brokerage information and his setups. All his campaigns, all that will remain, correct?
I don't know that that's true.
Maybe support.
He may need to talk to someone in tech support.
Yeah.
There might be a way they can transfer information, but there's different levels that each brokerage that considers kvCORE will get. One brokerage may have like the top Lux everything access and one may not. So I would say it's probably more likely that he won't. So I would still recommend that he download his CSV files before he leaves and his campaigns. And then we'll just
a good point because his ownership may have hands on that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just make sure he exports as much information as possible. And then we have all of the tech support team that can help him integrate it. And I'm happy to help with him too, But if he's using kvCORE, he's got the basics down and that's what's important, right? He's already using it.
Right.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to misspeak and tell him, oh, you won't have to change a thing. They'll just flip it on the back end. But I think anytime someone leaves a brokerage, whatever system they're on, they need to do that export and have it ready.
100%.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And just make sure that he knows to, categorize those before he moves them, like I was showing. Yeah. So calendar.
We have one more. Hold on, Liz. One more question here. G team.
There's been a request to, before we end, can you quickly show us how to do, where to get a property report to send to a past client that closes?
Yes. I'm going to finish my thought about the calendar real quick to sync your calendars, and then I'll wrap to that. I'll move to that. So
screen share one more time.
Oh, thank you for the reminder.
And Jeff, this is going to be recorded so we can go back and go through it slower, right?
Yeah, it moves pretty
Nope,
fast.
I totally forgot to hit record. Just kidding. Yeah, we're
Little red light wasn't on.
One of the things, well, I'll get to that in a second. Okay, so the little envelope at the top, this is how you sync your Google Calendar. You can do it with Outlook too, but just start using Google. But pick which one you want to use. And then it wants you to log in, right? And I'm not going to do that to this dummy account, but it wants you to log in, walk through the steps. If you get stuck, there's an article about it, no doubt. It just will ask AI. And then once your calendar's connected, when you go into your client dashboard and I hit add task, call this person, I can select the date and time. Like maybe I know I time block on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. So any of my reminders will be set for when I know I'm time blocking for my kvCORE and my leads. And then I hit add task. It won't, it did it. Okay. I hit add task. Now, if I open up my Google Calendar or my Outlook calendar, that literally shows up on my calendar. And when I click on the link on there, it will open up my kvCORE app, like I was saying. So that's really, really cool. But you have to have that done in order to use the appointment app. So, any other questions about the calendar before I move on to the market report? We're down to the last 4 minutes here. Okay. So, if you click on your lead or your client, whatever it may be. So this person must be unsubscribed because see how this is grayed out. So they have to be subscribed. I can show you how to resubscribe someone, but you really shouldn't get in the habit of that unless you know that you're the one that unsubscribed them to make sure they didn't get anything automated. But I'm just going to do it for now, and then I'll make sure to take it back. So now that I've subscribed them, see where it says market reports? I can hit add, and then I type in their zip code where I know they just bought. And it probably needs to be an Arizona zip code. So see over here on the left-hand side, because by now I already have their address in my system. So I'll just take that zip code. And then I'll drop it. And you got to give it a second to load. Sometimes you need to do it once or twice, but eventually it will load. And then I send mine out every 28 days. And then I hit add. And now they're automatically getting this one page, really nice market update. And so why not have, I mean, really, kvCORE will suggest that you get everybody on a market report. Like if they're looking in a certain zip code market report, you can send a market report to several areas. You don't want to give them like bombard them with information, but if you know they want to move to your hometown, get them on a market report because it's a way for you to touch base with them at least once a month with value, right? Because we want to add value. But for my process for my past clients is that market report. So as soon as they go into closed status, first thing I do is add their market report. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. I like kvCORE a lot. If you can't tell. All right, what else? Does anybody else have any other questions? I could keep going, but
this is so awesome.
I want to honor everybody's time.
No, it's outstanding. I mean, I feel like you could go for 100 hours and obviously there's a lot of value just in this call. And I want to provide a way for people to be able to reach out to you if they want help with kvCORE. I know that you do, sometimes you do these kind of like short sessions like this one, just for EXP at large for the community. And you have like a longer course that you've offered for people as well, which I'm happy for you to talk about. We're not like pushing that on people, but if you guys are looking for more, Liz is one of the best that I've ever dealt with in knowing and understanding kvCORE and then using it to truly win. And so this is not something where she's like, well, I kind of dabble in it. It's like, this is part of my business and it works. And I really respect that. How can people get in touch with you?
I'm going to drop. So I was playing around this morning and hold on, let me test it again one more time. But I created, one of the things that I can teach you how to do is and we've talked about it before, but it's creating a landing page.
Yeah.
And so I was playing around and what I did is I created a landing page that I can give to someone and it will open up to my forms page that I have people fill out when they're interested in taking one of my classes. Okay. So I'm just going to drop the link right here. And that also kind of shows you how cool, like you can just create a landing page in seconds on your kvCORE and you can have it'll take them wherever you want them to take them. And it should take you to my forms app and hopefully the settings are right. But once you register,
I put that for everyone there in the chat. And if you're watching this afterward on the, on YouTube, I'll put it in the chat below.
Perfect. And then I also teach the kvCORE class the first Tuesday of every month on the Oregon state level. I do that right after, and that's just a free hour. But I'll come to you. Like I know the G team, they've talked about me coming down. It's an all day session, or I can have a session here. And really, I just want to help people. I just want people to understand that this is such a great tool that we have and that it doesn't need to be scary. But the first thing is getting your contacts in there. right? You have to get the contacts in there and make this your hub. I even have my transactions going into my like I can get to my SkySlope from kvCORE. So I really do use it a lot. It's my
there we go. I went ahead and took your long link and turned it into a quick bit.ly so everybody can grab that. So if you go to bit.ly/Liz teaches, it'll just redirect you straight to her landing page and you can go check that out. If that's something that you're interested in. Otherwise, reach out to her directly. It's Liz Boisvert. You can check her out online. I'm guessing if you Google her, you can probably find her. There's not a lot of Boisverts out there anymore, So it's good stuff. Awesome. Liz, incredible stuff today. Thank you so much. And I will just say from the bottom of my heart, Liz is one of my very favorite people, an incredible leader, a great agent, obviously. Super great stuff today. And cool shirt. I like that. That's good stuff, man. She's been winning that. Oh, look at that. Jeez Louise. Been winning that icon award again and again and again. So again, if you guys have any questions, reach out to Liz directly. Ask her, and she's such an expert on this stuff. And in the meantime, everyone have an amazing day. Thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you all soon.